Perfect. So welcome all of you, by the way. This is a live interactive session where we will be discussing about how your life and career progresses after doing an MBA from a top Ivy League university, whether it is in India or in abroad. This is going to be a good booster and motivation session for people who are on both the tangents. One, who are looking forward for joining the MBA college right now in the year 2022. Plus, at the same time, people who are looking forward as an MBA as a career option, who possibly will be applying for all the given management examinations, whether you're talking about CAT, GMAT, and MAT, and etc., to possibly pursue MBA in the career ahead. To join the discussion ahead, let me also welcome our guest, Professor Abhijit Deshmukh. Talking about his candidature, he has got plethora of experience, more than 15 years of corporate experiences into banking. And currently, Professor Abhijit is also a career coach who is molding and shaping careers of thousands of candidates to become a better management professional. Talking about his academics, what not he has done. I think he has so he is a CA, CFA, he's an MBA alumni from SPJAIN, which is SPJAIN Bombay. Plus, at the same time, his ongoing PhD assignment is also ongoing from IIM Indore. So is there anything left that you want to pursue and left in your career which you want to
No, I think I'm very overqualified, but don't embarrass me further. Let's carry on.
It's so amazing to have you on board, sir. By the way, it's a pleasure to be and delighted to be on board and have a discussion with you. There are plethora of questions which students who are looking forward for doing MBA nowadays, whether they're studying with us or in general in nature. And these questions is something which I formulated so that I can throw these questions to you. We can have a good discussion over them. And these discussion pointers, possibly they can jot down, they can narrate, or possibly narrate to others also, which possibly could be a good decision-making pointers or factors for them to consider. Should they do an MBA? Yes or no? If yes, which college should they go to? And yes, the most important part is how the career is going to be transformed after doing an MBA. Okay. I'm sure in your professional life, currently you're a management coach. Also, you have been into the side of recruitment too. So you have seen all the possible angles. Someone who is not in an MBA, someone who has come for the campus placement at the time of recruitment drive, and post that also people who are on the level of CXO positions too. So my first very open and general question to you is, how does the career progresses in general for any specialization or a general management role after doing an MBA?
It's a great question to kick off this discussion. As you would know, in fact, I think this is really not a secret anymore that campus placements many times are slightly random, right? Because of the way the placement rules are. You apply to many companies, but if you get the first offer, you have to sign up, right? So more often than not, your first job from a campus is not necessarily the industry or the company that you really wanted, And this is something that I didn't realize till the time I started teaching and recruiting from campuses. But this is very, very common, by the way. So first of all, you have to be okay with the fact that that process will take its own shape. That's the first thing. But the good news is that you have the next 2 to 3 years, at least 1 to 2 years, because after coming back from campus, joining workforce for next 1 to 2 years, you're still treated as a fresher by most of the industry professionals, by most of the companies. So even if you're not in the industry that you wanted to be or not in the role that you wanted to be, you don't need to get disheartened. Okay, you have to just keep a focus as to how you want to come back in the industry that you wanted to do, right? So that's the first tip that I wanted to share. It's very, very important. Mm-hmm. Also, if you look at the value of an MBA degree per se, I mean, it kind of remains valid and important for about 4 to 5 years, because after that, your work experience starts picking up. Okay. So of course, if you are from a very premium B school like an IIM or top 10, 15 B schools, then of course that name will stick with you and it becomes a part of your own personal branding for a really long period of time. It's also important to remember that there are some MNCs where having an MBA itself is a pre-requirement. So to that extent, when you cross that barrier, it's a great thing to do. But otherwise, I think, as I said before, the competitive advantage of having an MBA kind of goes away after first 5 years. Okay. Yeah. So also depending on the industry, I mean, generally, if you see journey from an MBA onwards, for about next 5 to 10 years broadly, depending on the industry, of course. For some initial years, whether it is 5, 6, 7, now that is very industry specific. But first initial years, you will be an individual contributor. You'll have your individual targets, individual work specific KPIs, etc. And subsequently, you get managerial responsibilities. But the core message that I want to communicate here is that the work experience that you have immediately after 2 to 3 years following the MBA is extremely critical. If it is not the experience of rich quality, or if it is not the experience that you really wanted in, the kind of industry that you wanted in, you have to change, you have to switch. So to that extent, I think next 4 or 5 years, I think focus on good corporates, good jobs, good learnings, good networking. Don't worry about compensation. Money will follow. If you do the good job, then money is going to follow.
Yeah,
that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to highlight upon is that unlike our time, right? Unlike my time, industries are changing very fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nobody has this perception anymore that I'm going to make my entire career in banking industry or in FMCG industry, and you should not have that too. Okay. Try to focus your skills and the jobs, and be open to how industries are changing, and that can open up many other opportunities for you. So I think that would be my answer.
Of course, that's a very valid point too, sir. What I want to understand, let's say usually what happens when it comes for the final recruitment placement drive, which happens at all the business schools, you got to sign up for all the companies and the profiles which comes up. Now, that's a very small timeline which you have to possibly decide in 24 hours, should I apply for that job or not, right? And majority of times we possibly consider our priorities differently. So sometimes it's a profile or it's a package, or sometimes it's also the location where I want to work and where not to work, right? So what are the important factors that someone should consider before even applying for the given job? I'm sure you cannot foresee the journey which is going to come up for the next 5 years in the given organization, but obviously there will be certain crucial element that someone should actually go through with respect to the performance of the company, talking to the network of people who are working there, or XYZ factors. So if you can share some more light on this.
I think what people forget is to do their own homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think campus life sometimes can be very distracting, so you get lost in various things. But I think it's very important to see that typically in any 1 year, the kind of companies that are going to come to campuses are not substantially different from the companies who came last year. Literally, there will be 80 to 90% overlap for sure. So when you begin your second year, or sometimes even in the first year, when you're approaching summer placements, it's not difficult for you. You should actually just look up the last year's placements, speak to seniors, speak to your Playcom head or one of the Playcom members from the senior batch to know which companies came. Number one, which sectors they were looking into, what sort of profiles they offered. You can reach out to your seniors, either through alumni database or through LinkedIn, etc., to ask them how their experience was, etc. So honestly, you already know your university to 90%. Now, within that, you have to figure out where you want to kind of apply. And I think there, I would want to emphasize here that the 2 years that you are on campus, you really have to use extensively. Okay. So you have to be able to decide which industry and which role do you want to focus on. Also roles are anyway predetermined. Right? When a company comes on the campus, they know the kind of roles that they're going to offer. There, I don't think there is any negotiation and there is any flexibility possible. So you don't need to really worry about the roles. All you have to worry about the industry and the company that is coming on the campus. So in these 2 years, you need to talk very actively to your seniors purely from a placement perspective. Also talk to your professors. And professors is a resource on a campus that people underestimate humongously. Because professors have been sometimes industry experts. They have seen batches after batches placements happening. So sometimes they have a lot of insights that nobody really goes and asks them actually, right? So professors is a great resource. Also, if you have visiting faculties, then, beyond the course, reach out to them, talk to them about a particular industry or the company that they're working in. You attend college events, you'll get to know many things. And most importantly, you have to keep reading what's happening in industries. What are new industries coming up? What are, the kind of jobs that are opening up and things like that. So when you do all of that together, right? Broadly, you are anyways an adult, if you are doing an MBA, you must be minimum 21, 22 to 25, 26, whatever. You kind of start understanding that, oh, this seems to be something that I like. this seems to be something that I may not like. Okay. The other option is you should look for a career coach very actively. A career coach is going to give you a very systematic assessment basis your own skills, your own values, your own personality. And then, he or she is going to be able to map the roles with the kind of personality that you have. There are a lot of psychometric assessments possible. And the reason working with a career coach is important because he or she is an unbiased authority.
Yeah.
Unlike you, your friends, your parents, your professors, your industry seniors, all of them have some sort of conditioning, something happening.
Of course.
So I think these are various things you should probably consider while deciding which sectors to apply or which companies to apply. That would be
no doubt. So I think the crux which you're talking about is first to identify your own strength, right? So what you are made for, and many times we overvalue ourselves, obviously, to make sure that I am possibly made for the highest package job available for the given campus. Right. So you want someone to actually hold your hand and show the realistic picture. If not a coach, then possibly the professors who have taught you for 2 years, right, who have seen you grooming for 2 years, can actually make you understand whether this job or profile is going to be suitable for you, yes or no. So all what you're saying is first you got to be like on a part or on a stage to identify your own strength, value, or all the possible matrices on which you want to judge the attributes of the given candidate. And then see the sync between your candidature and the profile of company or job which is coming on board. And then take multiple advices, possibly. A cumulative decision possibly could be a good point to consider before you onboard a journey with any of the given organization. What's your opinions on the startup culture nowadays? So majority of the jobs which are now coming up, and this is one of those areas where people are making a lot of goof ups in their career too. And I'm sure this is not happening at the age of 25. This is happening at the age of 40, 45 too. This is what I've seen. So how about your take with respect to joining any startup? If yes, there are companies who you do not have a lot of background data to possibly talk to, and possibly we get overwhelmed with respect to the placements numbers of the high profile packages or the profiles which is coming on with the campus. So it's good to have a startup experience, or is it not so good to have a startup experience at the start of your career?
I think you're asking really brilliant and really tough questions. But I think I would take this decision first basis the kind of industry that I want to make my career. Right.
Okay.
So if I'm somebody who finds myself in a slightly traditional industry like an FMCG or a banking, then maybe working in a larger corporation is okay. But if I fancy myself in one of the new economy industries, fintech, green tech, whatever, then maybe startup is better. The other thing is, and this is something that I've seen from a first-hand experience. I have all my career I have spent in a large corporates. At the same time, I work very closely with startups, especially in the edtech sector as an advisor. I think the benefit of working in a startup is that you get a breadth of experience. In a larger corporation, what happens is when you join after MBA, you are literally the junior most person in the team. That too, in a huge corporation, there is some small team, and usme bhi you are like the junior most guy. So the work can tend to be very repetitive, and sometimes people miss out on what is happening strategically. They don't get the big picture. Right. So whereas there is job stability, there is good package, people tend to get lost in what they're doing. Startup can give you that idea. Like you can occupy positions which gives you an oversight into finance, marketing, ops, strategy, decision making across. Okay. So how then to select the startup? I mean, I would first go by the industry that I want to work in. And then within that, I would look for well-funded startups.
Okay.
I think well-funded startups which have crossed, at least $200-300 million valuation, which have at least seen at least Series A institutional investors funding round, then it's okay. Because these guys are ahead of that. I mean, they have escaped that. I mean, they're into that escape velocity now. They're not probably going to go bankrupt per se, probably.
Certainly.
But they will, so I think that could be one of the filters that you may want to apply. But also, very frankly, I mean, if you don't have any personal liabilities, if you don't have financial liabilities or people to take care of and things like that, I think early part of the career, I think it's great to explore startup culture. I mean, I would highly advise it actually.
Now, I'll take a sub question, which is also coming up nowadays with all the students who are doing MBA nowadays, which is starting their own entrepreneurial stint after doing an MBA. Now, what is your opinion or take on that? So, one, with respect to identifying your own strength, are you made for that? Yes or no? Is that a testing ground, which possibly, or is that the right matrices to test your grounds on getting into a startup journey of your own after completion of MBA, or possibly getting some experience and parallelly managing your startup along with a full-fledged job which you have got in hand? What is the best synergy between managing your career as well as your entrepreneurial stint which you want to showcase to yourself? Yeah.
So at the outset, I think the traditional strength, values, personality framework sometimes may not fit very well when you want to start your own business. Because when you want to start your own business, you are literally everybody.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of uncertainty and there is a lot of flux, and life is very difficult, I think, very frankly. So I wouldn't go only basis that, although there are assessments which will rate your personality from an entrepreneurial perspective. It will tell you were you really is your personality suited for that sort of risk taking or not. But I think if you're very keen, I would still think you work with a startup or a mid-level organization which is into that business. So suppose you have a particular idea into logistics, suppose. So then you find, like a decently funded startup, which is into logistics phase, you work there. I think the benefit of that is, you tend to learn from others' mistakes. And that's very, very important, because time is crucial. Mistakes can be very costly, and you're putting your own capital. If not, not the only thing time is not the only thing you're putting on, you're also putting your money. So I would advise, it's a slightly hedged advice, try to work with a startup, like a decently funded startup, take that experience, understand, because these guys are like 10 years ahead of what you are planning to do. You are like 10 years before, right? So it's a good thing to see, how you might look 10 years ahead and how that journey might have been.
Of course.
I think that's a better idea.
No,
also, I would advise working against a big corporation.
Okay.
Because what happens is, suppose you want to have a career in logistics, and then you, let's say, take like a DHL or something, like a huge organization. It's a great place, but what will happen is, being at a junior level, you'll be slotted in a small department, in a very, in a silo kind of a job. So you will not be able to have a holistic understanding of the business that you can have when you work with a startup.
No doubt. Certainly, yes. And that's a ground possibly where you can possibly explore more network, which possibly can help you out to build your own venture whenever time comes up. So I'm going to take this session in a very reverse manner. Now we have seen people who are looking forward for making their career into management after doing an MBA. Now let me take you to a level where possibly people who have returned the management examination and they've got multiple calls. Okay, let's assume the best case scenario, someone has got more than 15 colleges calls. Okay, and let's take the worst case scenario where people have got the tier 3 category of colleges calls. I won't name them, but let's say band 1 and band 3 based colleges. Now, what are the attributes and the factors that they should consider before joining or selecting that one business school that you should join? So with respect to the ROI, the fees, placement, statistics, location, a lot of factors, there are X number of factors.
I think at the outset, I must say this one thing, that I think going through CAT preparation, etc., can be a very taxing experience. It can really drain you out. But if you think that you have it in you to take the CAT again, okay, if you've missed something, or if you know that you weren't really 100% prepared and you are young and the age is on your side probably, then I would advise to take another attempt to improve your own score, and work with a training institute or something like that, do like a proper work, like structured work, because sometimes in second attempt, at least you may improve. And many times people get very tired of taking these exams, which is very natural. So that will be my first advice. Assuming that. Now, coming to your question, I personally feel, whatever else you say, and honestly, if you talk to people who are like 10 years afterwards, like somebody like me, or like somebody who's like 10 years down the line, I think what really truly matters is placements, the kind of networking that you had, and the NIRF ranking. So how good the college is. Really, that's the only thing that really matters.
Okay.
Because what's going to happen is that eventually, why do people do MBA? Right? Two main reasons, two big reasons. One is to form long-term networking, because the kind of friends you make during your MBA stay with you. They're going to go places in their careers. You're going to go, and at that time, you guys are going to help each other. Imagine the kind of networking benefits.
Of course.
That's a big benefit. Second, of course, is placement. So I would go for that. I wouldn't worry too much about, especially place, like where the B school is located. Is it far away from my home, and those kind of things? Absolutely don't worry about it. Even the cost, although I agree that cost is very important. It's a big form, because the costs have gone up and ROIs can be under pressure and things like that. But then just look at placement, I would think. Also look at curriculum. A lot of the B schools have a lot of new age curriculum.
Yeah.
For example, data science, machine learning, AI, fintech, and the professors who are teaching them are really good. So if you think you are, that can be now one of the factors. Like if that can be a way of evaluating a particular college.
Yes.
But by and large, I would think go with ranking and go with placements. Also, sometimes people can get very misled, like, for marketing, these are better colleges. For finance, I don't believe in it too much. Yes, could be, like, for example, MDI is a great place for marketing. We all know that. So except for very niche specialized like HR, where you any day prefer a test or a XLRI, I don't think you need to really worry about, maybe for example, ops, NITI for ops and those kind of things.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much. Like, don't get bogged down by the online literature that you have about, like, for consulting jobs, this is great. For banking jobs, this is, come on. It's just, there's too much literature out there. I just ignore it. Just take it with a bit of pinch of salt.
Of course. Then there's definitely a subtle question which comes along with it, which is the prioritization between the specialization and the campus. Now, the same campus offers multiple courses, right? Now, it's okay, you go to X college, there are dozens of courses which is going to be available. No doubt the most important course will be the flagship 2-year PGP, PGDM courses available. But the new age specializations, whether it is BA, rural management, retail management, everything is going to be available there. Now, there could be instances that a normal graduate who's not thought way much more in with what a career could be about could get a sectoral MBA program in a very good college. Or there could be a chance that he could get a tier 2 college, but with a full-time MBA program, or let's say the flagship MBA program. Now, how does that, these are two different things you cannot map together, right? So the decision is what? The decision is, should I go and compromise on my specialization, making sure I go to a better college? Or should I focus more on the topics, or let's say the content which I want to learn, and compromise on the level of college, vice versa?
Again, brilliant question. I think two ways I can answer this question. One is that if you have liking or preference in very niche areas like construction management, like if, for example, if you are in the family business which is into construction, or your prior work-ex is into construction and you want to continue, or real estate, then sometimes specialized courses are very helpful.
Yeah,
there are campuses which offer specialized courses there. The other thing is you have to look at placements again. The unifying factor is placements. So you have to see, like, okay, this is a specialized program, okay, and this is a generalized program. But then which one is giving me a better platform to project my candidature to corporate world at large? Right. Also, it depends on, are you clear yourself? Because many times people themselves are not clear.
Actually,
they may think that, okay, I think I like finance, but I also might like marketing. So what to do? In which case, of course, a like a general management is far better, because the college will give you the option to probably switch, but you have like a first year completely to make your own choice.
Of course.
Whereas if you take a specialized course, then you're boxed in. You've taken that course, you're boxed in.
No doubt.
So I think these are the 2-3 factors I can think of. Yeah.
That's a very good point, valid point, that which you have showcased. Now coming to the most question, which the ongoing journey with respect to choosing a college, getting a high-profile job, making a corporate career wonderful. It's all going to come once you've cleared the CAT examination.
How to bend the CAT.
That's the most terrifying journey that someone has gone through. The beautiful picture is going to come. The roses are red once you have possibly crossed the milestone of clearing the CAT and the other management examination. Now, this journey of, let's say, managing your final year along with the CAT preparation, leaving a job and planning for the CAT preparation, or possibly taking a gap year or multiple takes of CAT. And this is like a plethora of series of events that someone goes through and people grows through it.
Yeah, I've done that. I quit my job in PwC in I think June or July, around the same time, to prepare for CAT because I just didn't have the time. So
got it. So I would love to hear your story first of all. How did you grow through it? One, and second, your keynote messages for people who have got work in their hand. I mean, the ongoing work assignment, and people who have just graduates and they're full-time studying for the given CAT examination. How was your journey to begin with?
I mean, my journey was slightly random, but when I look back now, I think the reason it worked very well was because I was very disciplined. I mean, I was still working for some time and then I quit. But whether it was my journey or somebody else's journey, I think what you need from a mindset perspective or strength perspective are four things. One, good planning. Okay, you really need to plan well, like how many man hours do you have and those kind of things. First is good planning. Second is discipline to execute. You have to make sure that your studying execution is absolutely on point. Third, you need a right guidance. So please do join, a good class, such as yours for that matter, or any take the right guidance, I would say. And fourth, and this is especially important for today's generation, wasn't so pertinent for my generation, is avoid distractions. I think today we have so many distractions that, just focusing on something is very difficult.
Yeah.
So in terms of planning, I think you have to really be very clinical, like where you are right now. So just take a mock CAT and see where your score is.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to reach 99 percentile. Okay, so you are here and you have to go there. How many man hours do you have? Okay, you have to literally calculate, like if you on weekend you're going to study for 4 or 5 hours, weekdays you study for 2 or 3 hours if you're working. How many man hours do you have? And then you have to literally work backwards to see that, how am I going to prep the best? Take the guidance, talk to people, join a particular class, talk to other people in terms of time management planning also.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is one. In terms of execution, I would say take mock tests every 2 weeks. Come what may. Okay. And take it in exactly like simulated sessions, like no disturbance, like, no beach mein khana pina and all that. Take it as if you're taking CAT, whether you're prepared or not, because it will help you, because those 2 hours are going to matter, right? So you have to simulate those 2 hours constantly, like every 2 weeks, 1 week, 15 days.
Certainly. No.
Also, you have to avoid distractions. So Abhijit, if you see right now, we are ending, June. So you have still 4 months, I think, broadly. Avoid all distractions. For next 4 months, this is your life.
Yeah.
Reduce everything else. Breaks are important, of course. So you have to take breaks. But keep the breaks to real interactions, like meet friends, go out, take vacations, and don't spend time in watching OTT and social media and those kind of things. Okay. Surround yourself with the right people, people who motivate you, people who who believe in you, rather than, don't cut off all those people who are going to doubt, are you sure this is too difficult? Completely. The other thing I must focus on is lifestyle change, because brain and focus is not like some external factor that you can just add in your life. It's a part of your life, right? And this is a war. So you need to be ready 100%. So for next 4 months, you have to improve on your lifestyle, which means what? I'll just give you some pointers. Sleep, very important. Sleep well and sleep consistently. ऐसा नहीं कि exam के पहले 1 week let me sleep well. No. Sleep very well, because research has shown that, good sleep improves the brain's alertness. As I said, reduce social media, reduce OTT stuff. Improve food intake. Don't have junk food, because junk food is directly correlated with the kind of negative feelings like disappointment, anxiety, and things like that. Exercise regularly, almost daily, whatever you like, whether it's walk, sport, run, jog, gym, whatever, right? Because exercise induces, endorphins, which help you stay positive. It improves brain functions. So it will improve flexible thinking process. And the last thing I must advocate, and some of you guys may think, oh, it's really not meant for us, we'll do it after we are 35 or something. Please learn to meditate. Meditation is extremely important, because the kind of anxiety that you're going to experience during the exam, before the exam, if you focus on meditation as a part of life, okay, not like one day before the exam. Yeah, you're going to be far more centered, far more calm. So I would kind of go and generally have accountability partner. I'm a big believer in my coaching practice, and I advise students, and I believe in accountability partners. Have two of them, in fact. One on lifestyle, like somebody like your mother, father, somebody like your elder brother, somebody, and on academic side, like somebody from your class or somebody who's going to prepare for you. You two are going to. It's like having a gym buddy, right?
Of course.
Both of you motivating each other. So I would think these are the things that you should focus on.
I think this is a very important, crucial point that people miss on. They consider it's only about doing X number of theory chapters, taking mock tests, but the lifestyle changes, which is going to make them more possibly synergized with respect to the preparation plan, is the crucial point. If they work on, they possibly will be more activated throughout the journey. And the next N number of months or years, whenever they are planning for the given management exam, they're going to live with it. It's the most important part of their life to clear this examination. It's not just one part of it. It's just not one part of it, right? So once that has been done, possibly clearing or achieving other milestones will become easier because you have cracked the given examination. So your own motivation factor or level will be on the next level. The next level challenges you'll be able to take because you possibly have conquered one level of the given management examination, which is CAT, CD, whichever exam we are talking about. And these are really good pointers and changes, which I think all the students who are watching this video can take a note of. So amazing. So it was good, insightful session with you, rather, right? Which possibly is going to be motivating as well as enriching with respect to knowledge too. For students on both the sides, one preparing for the Kevin CAT or the other examination, plus at the same time, people who are about to join the business schools where they can possibly understand how their life is going to be transformed and what are the factors they have to consider to make sure that their career is going to be progressively, constructively taken ahead in their life ahead. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Abhijit. And it was my pleasure to be here with you. And I'm hopeful we'll keep more such engaging sessions with you where the students or let's say aspirants can get more insightful messages from you in terms of their preparation and their career. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.